The credit score wars have began. FICO and VantageScore. Who will win this war when it comes to real estate and housing? Welcome to another episode of the Never Lose a Deal podcast. In this podcast, we talk about creative financing strategies that will help you build your portfolio. And so today, I am going to share something that I know you may be thinking, Lorelia, what does personal credit scores have to do with real estate and creative financing? And I understand that because that is the whole basis of creative financing, that it doesn't require you to take traditional methods with buying real estate, hence your personal credit. But I think this is going to be a topic that matters because even though this may not directly affect you, it could indirectly affect you. And that is what I'm telling clients. So last year, if you remember, I talked about how um, FHA Housing Secretary Polk had announced that they were changing the credit requirements, that lenders can use alternative lenders instead of FICO. Now, historically and traditionally, FICO was the go-to source. Well, as of last year, Housing Secretary Pope said we are now allowing other people to take part in this massive space. And they said VantageScore is now one of the players that lenders can use to have persons who are interested in an FHA to get approved for an FHA mortgage. Now, let's step back for a second, because on this show we talk about creative financing. Um, the show is primarily focused on investors. So, what would a FHA situation have to do with creative financing? Well, let me share with you this. This is what I'm telling clients. You may not be a person who is seeking an FHA mortgage. I get that. But if you are in the fix and flip space, you in new construction, maybe even multifamilies, some of the people who will be buying those assets will be required or may be interested in FHA financing. Now, I understand in the creative financing space, FHA is not part of the conversation. I've said that in other episodes. This is not about house hacking. Creative financing has nothing to do with house hacking. House hacking is for individuals who are just starting out, and when you're ready to graduate out that phase, that's when you look for other means and methods to be able to acquire real estate. But like I said, this can indirectly affect you. So that's why it's good to know these things that are happening. Now, once again, I'm not in the FHA space. I don't approve people. I don't help people get mortgages, but I do like to know what is going on because, like I said, it can indirectly affect the business that I do. Now, with that being said, going back to VantageScore and FICO. Now, understand they are saying that FHA lenders have the ability to choose one or the other. Now, keep in mind, FICO will be instituting in this new system their FICO 10T. Um, it's FICO 10T version. VantageScore will be using their 4.0 version. How is it going? Are you still trying to figure out how to build out your real estate portfolio? I know all the gurus online just told you, just put in a Google search, find an asset-based lender, and voila, you are going to find the lender of your dreams who's going to give you 100% financing, and you are off to the races being a real estate millionaire. But you know that isn't true. So this is what I want to share with you. There is a way that you can build out your real estate portfolio with no confusion because you want more than just a Google search. You want more than just talking to somebody on the other side of the computer who's pretty much just giving you a rate sheet and maybe some terms. I get it. And you are frustrated. But let me share with you there is an easier way. There's a way that you can build out your real estate portfolio and have that personalized touch that you have been searching for. You want more than just random Google searches and overused AI prompts that have been used all over the internet. You want to build your real estate portfolio with expert guidance, and you want to be able to be given lender recommendations that have been vetted and suited just for your situation. If that sounds like you, I want you to join me at my next workshop. In this workshop, I'm going to share with you my 3-step framework. In this framework, I'm going to share with you how I've been able to help clients, real estate investors, experienced ones, build their real estate portfolio with ease and eliminate all the confusion that they have been hearing online. So if that sounds like you, I want you to join me at my next workshop. You should see it here on this video, and I look forward to sharing that information with you. See you at the workshop. And now it becomes, I'm not sure if you know this, but if you know anything about credit scoring and how it works, each of those scoring models score credit differently. When I was a person who was heavily involved in the personal credit space, um, that was one of the biggest conversations that I had, because you would have people primarily online who would say, things that affect your credit is, your rent, your utilities, and all these things. And that was not part of FICO's scoring model. That was a scoring model for the bureau. So there was a lot of miscommunication. There was a lot of miseducation in the personal credit space, because you had people who were telling individuals that those things did affect their credit. Now, keep in mind, you may not know this, but VantageScore was created by the bureaus. FICO is a whole separate entity. So FICO never used those measurements as part of their scoring model. So when you got a credit score, FICO never looked at your rent history, your utilities, and all that other ancillary things. Fight me on it. They never did. That was something part of VantageScore. But VantageScore was never used by anybody. There's no lenders that use VantageScore. There's no lenders in the personal loan area that use VantageScore in the past. But as we are seeing now, because these changes are not just affecting real estate, but they are affecting other areas where now lenders in other spaces are taking into effect other things outside of FICO, because FICO always had their own measurement of how they computed a score. And as things change and with AI, this is what I want to stress so much. What you may know, or what your credit professional may have told you about credit now, as I film this podcast and video in 2026, the FICO is going to change some things. That is why we have FICO 10T version, because with AI and all the changes, lenders are already taking other measurements. I've even said here on this podcast, even in the investor financing realm, even though those lenders do not primarily make decisions with credit, but we do know, or maybe you shouldn't know this, you should, but your interest rate is determined by your credit score. Now, many of those investor financing lenders that I work with are still using FICO. They're not using VantageScore. So understand that this change with FHA making now, as I said in this podcast episode, it is now a credit score war between VantageScore and FICO. Who will win? Who will win this challenge? So that is all that I have for you today. Just wanted to share that. And like I said, I think this is something that may affect you if you're an investor, especially if you're in a space where you do indirectly deal with people who may buy your fix or flips, or as I mentioned to you, maybe your multifamilies. This can indirectly affect you. So you want to be aware of what's going on. If this podcast has been interest of you, please go to www.neverloseadeal.com to learn more about me, to learn more ways of how you can build out your real estate portfolio using creative financing, leveraging creative financing, to learn more about how I help investors as well as individuals build out their portfolio. You can go to www.neverloseadeal.com.